Oh, you're like, I want to use the spear.
I've never come across someone who's played this game and wanted to use the spear.
Well, I don't want to use the spear now. It's garbage.
Buys Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, what's this bow and arrow? I want the stick. Unga bunk. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the HGO podcast. I'm your host, Ethan, and as always, I'm joined with the lads, Kyle and Hunter. Hey, guys, you doing all right?
I'm doing just
Yes, sir.
Nice. I realized my webcam was like really far down, and now it's really far up. Gosh, we are so professional. Welcome back to the HGO podcast, where we talk about games and shit when that happens.
Happy medium.
Oh yeah, dude. We're all good. We're doing all good now, because Kyle's got a new mic. Kyle, how's the mic? Dude? You having fun?
Dude, I really like this microphone. So, if you don't follow me on Twitter, first of all, follow me. I'm hilarious. I'm like the second funniest person I know.
Wow.
And
wanna write that on the fucking posters.
Andy's humble.
And I'm humble. Yeah, exactly.
I'm the
But-
second funniest person I know.
oh, the box is over there. That's where I put that.
Nice.
It's very far away, not in arm's reach. But if you don't follow me, I posted a few days ago that I got a new microphone.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Elgato Wave 3 microphone, not sponsored, just a big fan of the product.
Sponsor us. I want the microphone. Sponsor us. I'm too poor. No,
But
carry
yeah,
on.
I'm really liking it so far. It's really, really lightweight, very compact, especially this one is within arm's reach.
Oh god. Audio listeners, he's going to grab
God.
something.
Compared to fucking baby's
my
first
God,
microphone.
You could just smack somebody with that.
You know, I found-
Like, could.
You know what?
This
It's
thing
funny-
is terrible. This is
it's a
just like
funny- yeah.
someone put a styrofoam ball on a metal pole along with the worst, biggest tripod in existence that just takes up all the room on your desk, and
Yeah.
there it goes.
Bye.
Bye,
I find it
monkey.
funny that you
Venus
did that.
Venus.
I find it funny that you did that because I was looking through my cupboards today because I was bored and why play video games when you can go and do menial tasks like look in a fucking closet for a bit. But I was looking through and I just found a load of wires. I found that fucking my old blue snowball, which I haven't used in like 5 years. And the first thing that I did with it was start beating shit with it. I was like, this thing's like a hammer, dude. Fucking beat that shit. So it was just funny that you did the exact same thing. It just made me laugh. But
Dude,
no,
that, like with the fucking head on that thing, like what else would you do with that?
there's
Use it as a
nothing else to do.
microphone? Nah.
Honestly,
But yeah,
if you can't find your hammer,
This
dude,
thing's
just-
pretty nice.
it's nice.
I
Yeah,
like
look
it.
at him.
Super lightweight, records all my voice cracks. It does everything you would need it to do. Built-in pop filter. Again, not sponsored, just a big fan of the product.
Hey, that's like the end goal. The end goal eventually is for us all to get enough money like Kyle, big boy Kyle over here with his wallet that's the size of Manhattan. Some say. It's the entirety of Manhattan is just Kyle's wallet.
Sounds like a
Fun
nice
fact,
wallet.
yes. Yeah. But that'll be the day where we all have the power to spank our microphones and turn them off.
Yeah, dude. I can just hit the top of it.
Yeah, and he's gone. There you go. Audio listeners, he muted his microphone like that.
Audio,
Yeah.
video listeners, that joke was for you.
There you go. But yeah, welcome back to the HGO podcast where we sometimes talk about video games. Coming up on this week's show, we have bullied Hunter and buying another game. He doesn't have a new mic, but he has a new game because he's the one that's keeping this podcast afloat.
Because I'm the one who plays the video games.
Me and Kyle have the expensive mics. Hunter actually buys the video games. That's how this podcast works nowadays.
Yeah.
But no, you've played Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8, whatever you want to call it. Kyle can talk about his first hour of Horizon Zero Dawn, and I can one-up him with. If you think that's pathetic, ladies and gentlemen, I played 15 minutes of the new season of Destruction Allstars, so we've got so much to talk about. But yeah, let's get right into it. I guess let's get right into Resident Evil Village. Discussions, topics, all of that. Remember, if you're on podcasts, positive rating, YouTube, subscribe, like button, all that good stuff. Thank you. Resident Evil Village, Hunter.
Yeah.
Here we are, me and Kyle playing 20 questions again, where we're going to take it in turns. So I'll
What do you got?
This podcast is just let's interrogate Hunter now. Good cop, bad cop. That's why I bring out the hammer, Kyle.
I threw that very far away. It's not in arm's reach anymore.
Fair enough. I guess for those people who are not aware of Resident Evil Village, what Resident Evil Village is, give everyone a rundown. What is Resident Evil 8? Premise, what is it?
It is the follow-up to Resident Evil 7, continuing
Fuck!
the story.
Holy shit! Spoilers! No, it's good. It's fine.
Continuing the story of Ethan Winters, the worst protagonist in horror game history.
Fucking.
You would be a better protagonist, honestly.
I've just heard he's the exposition king, dude. Like, I've just heard that he just loves to, especially in RE8, apparently he just loves to fucking say everything he sees, dude. Like, that's great fun.
Yeah, he's the worst. Like, I didn't think it would be possible for me to dislike someone more than I dislike Chris Redfield in this series. But I don't like Ethan Winters at all.
Feels bad. Anyway.
And I'll get into more on him later, I guess. But it continues his story. His daughter gets kidnapped and accosted to this, like, village, as one would expect from the title. And things got all crazy there, and Ethan, while stumbling into his search for his daughter, has to deal with another atrocious nightmare, like the one he dealt with in the previous game.
It kind of does make me laugh, because it's like most Resident Evil protagonists or characters seem to be like police officers or people that end up in these situations, right? Whereas to me, it just seems like Ethan is like, hi, I'm a BIM man that stumbled into the wrong neighborhood. Like, he's like, it doesn't seem like your typical, like, kind of Resident Evil protagonist kind of thing, which is always weird to me.
So there's a gap between 7 and 8 that's like 3 years, because Resident Evil, strangely enough, really likes their real-time happenings in this series. Like, Resident Evil 5 came out in like 2009 or whatever. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to take place in 2009. I think the only reason that 3 didn't take place in like 99 when it came out was because it was supposed to happen simultaneously to 2. It's really weird that way, but there was a time gap, and I'm pretty sure that the man had military training in between from the couple of things I read. And you know what? It wouldn't show at all. He's still as much of a dimwit as he was in the first hour of 7 that I played.
So yeah, we should probably prerequisite. I probably should have asked you this first before we went on the little gist of what Village is. Experience with Resident Evil. Go. What games have you played? What games haven't you played? What do you like? What don't you like?
So I've played 1 through 6 and an hour of 7 plus the 2 remakes. I haven't gotten into any of the spin-offs and all that, and the classic versions of a lot of these games very, very far back in my memory. So,
okay.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. We should stand that, because a lot of people are probably expecting either long-term Resident Evil fans or like someone that's new. So you've got like a mix and match. You've got like the pick and mix bag of Resident Evil like fucking experience here. So it'll be interesting to see how you found it. Do you have a question, Kyle? I'll throw it to you while I think of something real quick.
I guess on that subject of new and veteran Resident Evil players, who would you say this game is more suited for? Like, could a new player who wants to get into Resident Evil just pick this game up and start here? Or
so there's like slight reference, like Chris Redfield shows up in the beginning of the game, but aside from that,
has he always been that fat?
He's not been
rude.
He's not been that bulky before. Like,
he looks different. It was one of those things where I remember we were watching the PlayStation reveal, the PS5 reveal back in June. Hey, that's up on the YouTube channel if you want to go and watch it. That's crazy that we've been doing that this long, that we can sell out like that. Go leave a like while you're there, because man, the Xbox fans really found that one. But I digress. You know, I remember it showed Village, and I was like, yes, you know, Resident Evil. And then it showed that scene, which I believe is at the start of the game, where Chris comes out with the gun and shoots that girl, and then Ethan's like, Chris, why? And I was like, that's Chris? I'm like, I swear he didn't look like that. I swear.
Chris's body transformation over the series has been interesting, because in the first game and also like Code Veronica, he seemed reasonably proportioned, like just a regular dude that's kind of built. And then in Resi 5, he became like this truck of a person who can punch boulders in the climax of the game, and just And now
Nice.
Resident Evil 8 just seems to be a natural extension of that, but because of the newer gen tech, it looks a little different.
He does look weird. He was giving me like Hush vibes from Batman Arkham. He just kind of has that stature now, and I was like, it's a weird stature to have, but hey, whatever. So going into RE Village, obviously it's very much a first person game, similar to its predecessor RE7. What makes this game different to Resident Evil 7? I know what you're going to say, because I feel like everyone on the planet kind of knows at this point, but Resident Evil 7 and 8, they second first-person game in the Resident Evil franchise, I guess, from the mainline Resident Evil games. What's changed? What's similar? Walk us through that a little bit.
Alright, so the overall UI and stuff is pretty similar, except the inventory system seems harkening back to like Resi 4. Honestly, feels kind of like a test bed for how they're going to bring that to the Resi 4 remake in a few years.
You say few years, it's like...
hopefully a few years. I don't.
We have to ask the question now, is Resident Evil going to take a year off now, or is it going to
hope so.
come out next year? Because, yeah, for those of you who are unaware, Resident Evil has been on like this yearly release now for a bit, since RE2, right?
Since 2019, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like third year in a row.
3 years in a row.
Out.
But yeah, anyway, carry on. Inventory is similar to RE4.
Yeah, there's that. The way that they tackle the horror situation is a bit different because the overall setting and stuff. So again, I only played 7 for about an hour, and I could definitely say, yes, at least it's a horror game this time, compared to the previous 2 main entries in the series before 7. But a lot of that seemed to just be because the area was grimy and disgusting.
That was my thing with Resident Evil 7, was it looked gross. It was like...
Yeah. And being gross is kind of a shortcut to being, like, I wouldn't necessarily say it's scary all the time.
It sets a tone. It sets a tone, like, from the start, right? It's like you don't need to do much, but just having an eerie kind of gross kind of tone will immediately make it easier for you than if you were just like in, say, a random location and trying to make that scary. Making something look purposefully gross and disgusting, I think, would help set the mood that way. At least for what Resident Evil 7 was trying to accomplish, which was this basically haunted house. Not even haunted, but just gross, really monstrous house kind of deal. Yeah,
grimy house, yeah. It's definitely the kind of thing that if you were there, you could understand why you'd want to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
With Resident Evil Village, so what I've played, I was in the village for a little bit, and then I cleared the castle in the time that I've been playing, so...
so you've been through the horny jail. You've been through horny jail.
Yeah, I have beaten the castle.
And that has completely changed my questions that we will be asking now. Now that I know that you've been there,
wait, is she only in that area?
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Without
this is
spoiling
hilarious, considering that Capcom leaned so far into this, knowing that too.
Yeah,
it's probably that's probably how they were able to lean in so much, is because not only did people latch to her pretty quickly. I mean physically latch. You guys need to chill.
They would love to, though.
They would love to latch, dude. Like crazy. But not only that, but because it's such early game, it's basically the first of the 4 main areas, right? Or 5. I don't know how many main areas there are. I know there's like so many like heads of this village, like these kind of things that you're going after.
Yeah.
But as it's the first kind of area, they can also have been able to show off quite a bit of her stuff without spoiling anything because it's early game. So I feel like that was a win-win on both a marketing standpoint and on keeping things kind of secret, at least in endgame.
Yeah, so, and to the castle's credit, looking at me, absolutely you'd expect me to like the gothic horror vibe more than the grimy, backwoods, gross hillbilly house, and it's true, I like the vibe of Dimitrescu's castle way more. It feels very, almost like the castle in Devil May Cry 1 in a lot of ways, just because of the same kind of gothic horror vibes it gives off, and I liked that a lot. Thought the area was designed really well, fed back into itself in ways that made all the Resident Evil backtracking sometimes can feel very tedious because you have to, in most games, you have to run back to like an item box and grab the key items and then go. But that wasn't so much a case here. It felt very intuitive the way it was laid out.
So obviously it's called Village. Obviously much bigger area than 7's playground, which was basically a house and a couple of other areas, from what I can gather. I should probably preface this. Both myself and Kyle, not Resident Evil veterans. I've not played a Resident Evil game. The only experience I have is hearing my dad shit himself over Resident Evil games at times. And I feel Kyle's only experience is watching Let's Plays of Resident Evil, like 5, I think, on YouTube, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, as you can see, me and Kyle are going to ask all the right questions that all you Resident Evil fans are going to really hate on us for in the comments. But
that's fine. No one
to me,
comments on these.
It's fine. No one listens. It's fine. Either way, Resident Evil Village to me is kind of an expanse of that. At least it looks like it. It's more lavish locations. It seems like larger locations. Is it still linear at heart? Is it still very much a point A to point B that we're seeing here? Or are these areas that have multiple paths? Like, I don't know what the best way to describe it is. I guess, is it, like, for example, with the castle, are you free to explore the castle, or is there a certain route through the castle? Or is it more like a Bloodborne level where it's kind of, it's interconnected, but there's a very clear way you're supposed to go eventually?
So, the way that the castle worked, basically, from the beginning you see the door that you're trying to go through, but it's got the magical Resident Evil puzzles with the weird, you gotta get this, essentially a key, but it's just a weird decoration, right? So, there were 4 of those, and they were all littered throughout the area, and I don't know if I could have done it a different way. It felt like I was being naturally led through in a manner that made sense, but also I believe that I had to double back for the last one. I feel like I could have done the last 2 in whatever order I felt like. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's
a
lot of like to compare to like Resi 2 remake, and you needed to get like these 3 symbols to pass through the police station, and you could have done that in like whatever way felt necessary with whatever items you were gathering up at the time,
Yeah. So it's kind of, I guess you're limited to an area and it kind of guides you through, but is the way to describe it. But there is like a kind of thought process through it. It doesn't just feel like a straight line where you're just like, oh yeah, here's the start, here's the end. It does feel like there's some kind of...
Yeah, I guess a way to describe it would be like kind of streamlined, for lack of a better term, Metroidvania type of gameplay, where you get something and you're like, oh, I have this, now I can go do this.
Fair enough. Do you have any questions, Kyle? Other than, I've got like next gen questions. Hunter's been playing on PS5. There's the obvious question of, how is it next gen, running well, blah blah blah. Shall we go into that? I don't know.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you want to? So how is the next gen version, Hunter? Does it feel like a next gen game? Does it look and feel like it? And how's it running on PS5? Because I actually have no clue what this game is running like, to be honest.
Yeah, it runs fine. I haven't detected anything amiss in that regard. And as far as looking and feeling, the way that they present the game is very well done. The RE engine is fantastic. Capcom should just make a bunch of games in that engine.
I think that's their plan, honestly.
Yeah.
They did it with DMC. I'm sure that whatever Capcom comes up with next, they're going to be just like, shove it in the engine.
Like that Pragmata game or whatever, I believe.
The game that everyone was like, Kojima? And then it wasn't Kojima, and everyone was like, oh, okay, well, who the fuck's doing this then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that engine looks really nice. It's one of the best looking engines that are around right now.
It just always makes me laugh. Kyle, did you know the RE engine doesn't stand for Resident Evil Engine, by the way? Did you know this, Kyle? This is my favorite fact about Reach for the Moon engine.
Because the logo, it's got a hand reaching for the moon.
I just thought that was like... Yeah, I just thought that was like, oh, reach the hand with the moon. I was just like, oh, that's just Resident Evil. It's like a zombie's hand or whatever, and a moon to mean scary. That's what I was just like. I'm like, oh yeah, Resident Evil engine. And then, I don't remember who it was, but someone was like, you need to stop calling it Resident Evil Engine. I'm like, why? And it's like, because it's not Resident Evil Engine. I'm like, huh? You're fucking with me, right? This is the Resident Evil
Evil. I believe it was
Engine.
Imran Khan that educated a bunch of folks about that.
It might have been Imran. I don't know if it. I swear it was someone that I know that actually told me. But
I got around the time that DMC5 came out, I became curious. I'm like, okay, so they call it the RE engine, but they're clearly not just making Resident Evil with this. So I looked it up then, and I was like, oh. Yeah.
I wish it was just called the Resident Evil engine, because that'd make more sense. But no.
I don't know why, but that reminds me of back when Octopath Traveler came out. Some gaming publishing magazine online thing made an article that was like, Octopath Traveler runs on the Fortnite engine because it was built in Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
like
good.
The Fortnite engine.
That's so good.
Thank you. This is great.
That is so good.
This is what I want one of my favorite Switch games to be known for, the Fortnite engine.
It reminds me of, I saw articles this week of someone saying Retro Studios dev doesn't think it's possible to do a Metroid Prime trilogy. And then the first line was, ex-developer who left Retro in 2011. And I was like, cool. So basically, Joe on the street thinks that it can't be possible. I'm like, cool, okay, it's not someone that's actually working on it. And then his point was like, because it has motion controls. I'm like, the Joy-Cons are basically Wiimotes. We're not, like, let's be real here. Like, but it just makes me laugh when stuff like that.
Metroid Prime 1 didn't have motion controls.
Neither did
it was
neither
a
did
GameCube
2. It was just
game.
3.
It was
just 3.
3. And I'm pretty sure that it didn't function any differently than, just looking around in a first-person game would have.
It was something
Joe
like
on the street is
a
moron.
Joe on the street was an interesting thing. It was more like level design and stuff like that, and I was like, I think it'd be fine. If anything, whatever, just get it done. Because Metroid Prime Trilogy needs to happen.
They have gyro in them.
They do.
They have gyro and a pointer in them.
They do. I'm just gonna turn your volume down on my end just really quick, Kyle, just in case your audio fucks. We're good. Anyway.
Oh, dude, I can turn a knob on my microphone.
No, don't you? No, you keep that back. No, don't you keep that. You keep that balance. You do not make my job a nightmare. You think you get the smart technology? Don't go monkey brain on me. Don't you dare.
Yeah, I have unlimited power. You can't stop me.
Fucker gets a good mic, and for once he's like, now I have all the fucking cards, dude. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here crying, knowing that the edit's going to be a bitch, and Hunter's just sitting there with his fucking leaf-like shoot of a fucking microphone. You're just chilling. Yeah, exactly. You can hardly tell
Dude,
us
Hunter,
that.
you want the Playmobil microphone?
Don't give him the
That could not
Playmobil
fit-
microphone.
That could not fit on my desk.
That's fair. It barely fit on mine, and I have a real desk.
Hunter would have to be like man on the street, like holding it up here, going, "Hey, John, it's great." News
We're
just
live
in.
on the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to
Resident
Resident
Evil Village.
Evil. Yeah, back in the village. Is there anything else? I don't really know what else to ask because is it scary? Is it scary? I don't know. I don't know. Right, I'm sorry.
So,
like, at least with Returnal, we had something to go off. I'm not a Resident Evil guy, okay? I'm not a horror guy at all, so it's hard for me to ask questions. I should have brought someone like Ed in or something, but yeah.
So, after the original trilogy on PS1, it felt like Resident Evil was kind of starting to move away from its regular horror roots. 4 was more of survival horror, and 5 just kind of became a straight action game.
Yeah.
Does it
And
feel
6
like...
doesn't exist.
And 6 and 7 aren't real. Does it feel like...
No, 7's real. 7's real.
Village...
7's real. How dare you?
Does it feel
People
like Village
7.
is kind of going back to how Resident Evil used to be? Like, if people who only played the original trilogy could see 8 and be like, yes, this is the Resident Evil I know. Is it kind of like that?
I feel like people who really liked 4 are the ones who would be like, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's got, like, the creepy atmosphere and stuff, but also, you're very, like, I've not been threatened at all while I've been playing this game. Like, even Dimitrescu is hilariously easy to avoid when she's trying to harass you when she's on her own. I've just been like, oh, I'll just run this way and go through one of the other doors while she's still chasing me because she moves really slow.
So how does she compare to things like Nemesis or Mr. X?
She's really slow and easy to avoid compared to them. So she's got as a character, she's really cool. Like the lady who, I don't know her name, and she passed away, so now I feel bad. But she performs her really well. Like she actually has lines and stuff, and it's hammy as all.
It was one of her daughters that passed away, not actual Dimitris. I should specify that. I'm gonna do a double check Google, but if I remember correctly, it was one of the daughters that passed away. But you carry on anyway.
But yeah, as a character, she's really cool. All of her lines are really hammy. It's really funny when it's like you get one of the scripted scenes where she's just beating Winters up and like throwing him through. Like when she actually is like, "Okay, I'm going to start harassing you now," instead of just walking around the castle, not really paying attention to you. She like throws him through the floor and he like falls down into a dungeon, and I was like, oh, amazing. But
Yeah,
as an actual,
it was someone. Yeah, the person that plays Cassandra passed away, Jeanette Moore.
Oh,
well,
okay,
yeah,
that's a bummer.
Yeah, but should specify that. Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
Carry on.
My bad, I was mistaken. But as an actual like gameplay threat, Dimitrescu is not very. One time I went around a corner that was a dead end and got killed for it, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Her daughters as a gameplay function are actually a bit more threatening because they're quicker and just come out of nowhere.
Okay. But no, I had a question, but now I can't remember what it was because we went on a tangent.
What the fuck, Ethan?
Yeah, I know, right? Fucking. Hey,
Had
I've just been
one job.
Googling. I've been
Cool,
Googling.
go Google your fucking question for Hunter.
Oh no,
Mr.
that's what I was going to
Google,
add.
what did I want to
remember.
ask Hunter?
I remember. I was going to add on to what Hunter was saying in terms of who's this for. I feel like they're trying to please the Resident Evil 4 people, but also they are trying to continue what they did with RE7. I feel like it's not a total. I don't think it's a total 180 about what Resident Evil 7 was because they kept the first person, they kept the stupid fucking character, they kept the kind of gameplay-esque kind of things. It very much still is. It's not like as far as I can tell, it very much just is kind of guy walking around corridors and areas in first person, having things jump out and being like reactionary and trying to figure stuff out. It still feels Resident Evil 7, but they're trying to do more world like 4. They're trying to go a bit not crazier. They're going a bit out there. They're not doing what they did with 4, which was 7, which was just basically people had been taken over by some kind of possessed by something, which was basically what 7 was.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the deal with the enemies in this game are necessarily. Like, the ones that you come across in the village leading up to the castle are called lichens, and, you know, they do not seem very werewolfy to me. They just seem kind of like dudes with skin conditions.
Aw.
So I was like, there was this big dude with a hammer that was pretty, werewolfy, and I was like, oh, you're kind of cool. But the rest of these dudes they barely feel any different than zombies, really.
Mm-hmm.
But, another thing to attribute to why I've not been threatened at all in this game is that the enemy AI is pretty silly.
Yeah, how come?
Hell yeah.
Well, when dealing with one of them, I could successfully just kind of run around in circles and stab them with the knife and not really struggle.
Nice.
And when dealing with more than one of them, I just kneecap them and then stab them a few times, rinse and repeat until they're dead.
Fair enough. But now, I guess to wrap this up, because I don't have any other questions, it's just the classic question that we always ask during these first impressions are closing thoughts. What do you think? Are you enjoying it? Would you recommend it?
So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's not as scary, and I'm not as into this as 2 or 3 as far as my previous experiences in the past couple of years with it, but I'll probably still finish it. It's not a very long game from what I understand, so I'll just probably knock this out this weekend before I
Resis
go
aren't,
back to Returnal.
Resis aren't usually that long anyway.
So if you're interested in it, then I would recommend giving it a shot if you want some. Actually, This would be a pretty decent entry-level horror game for people who are, like, scared easily, but...
Yo, you hear that, Ethan?
But want to get into the genre.
Yeah.
It would be... It would be not too much of a task, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. It's from what I can see, it's longer than 3 Remake, but it's still your standard kind of single-player linear game length. So it's not very long. At all. But no, there you go. There's Hunter's first impressions on Resident Evil Village. Hope you enjoyed these 2 weeks of new content, because it's going downhill again until Ratchet and Final Fantasy 7 are out again.
Come back next week for my final thoughts on Returnal and Resident Evil Village.
That's I don't know. I think we might have to pull some topic episodes out or something, or else there'll be no need to review them at that point.
Oh yeah.
But no, glad to see you're enjoying it.
We need the content.
More content. Yeah, literally. It's just
you're the only one playing games.
Literally behind the scenes, all it is.
I still haven't talked about Hollow Knight yet.
That's an old game though, you know. Like the kids that like Hollow Knight, they'll wait another week. They'll wait another 2. They're not antsy.
How long did it take for us to talk about Pyra and Mithra?
Exactly. To be fair,
we're nothing if not punctual.
Exactly. I mean, hey, look at our Destruction Allstars review. Look at our Miles Morales Astrobot reviews. They're all up. Ethan's not sitting on
51 Clubhouse games review.
Right. I was looking.
What's
right.
A Clubhouse game?
On a bit of a tangent, because I was looking at the review. Yeah, I was looking at the reviews that that we've promised that we haven't done, and yes, they're all reviews that I was supposed to do. Yes, well done. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Some short. If I don't say it, the one comment on this video will be, "They were all the ones you were supposed to do." Fuck off.
Fuck off.
But they're just Astro's Playroom, Miles Morales, and Destruction Allstars. Those are the 3. I feel like I can crank those out. So you might have, as well as Hunter's new reviews, you might have some older ones. I definitely want to do Destruction Allstars because I feel like I need to. We'll talk about it later. But I feel like... in fact, fuck it. We'll talk about it now. I'll just get it out of the way. I hate being last because I don't have enough time. I don't have enough to talk about, and I feel like Cal's hour of. I feel like Cal's hour of Horizon will be more fucking fulfilling than Destruction Allstars Season 1 talk. So let's just get this out of the way. But yeah, Destruction Allstars, the game that literally everybody forgot about, had an update this week. And man, was it shit. Like, honestly, for those of you who are not in the know, they did, like, their Season 1 update. And, you know, you guys, well, Hunter doesn't. You're both terrible. Well, how you play Genshin, right? You know, when there's a new season, there's a new update. Usually, you're like, oh, new character, maybe some new modes if it's a multiplayer kind of thing, maybe some new areas. Oh, cool. Can't wait. And Destruction Allstars is like, yeah, we got a new character. And I'm like, yeah, and they're like, and a new mode. I'm like, great, but in a month's time. And I'm like, okay, I feel you. What else? A battle pass. I'm like, oh, cool, free stuff? No, you gotta pay for that. There's some free stuff, but it's all the shit stuff that no one wants, right? It's all the gimmicky, like, voice lines or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. New story mode? Yeah, new story mode, but you have to pay extra for the story mode, you see, because each character has a story mode, and you have to pay microtransactions to experience that story mode. And I'm like, okay, cool. Is at least some engaging content? No. Just offline CPU battles and a cutscene at the start and the end. I'm like, oh, so it's PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's PlayStation All-Stars. I'm like, okay. Anything else? No. I'm like, cool. Literally, like, I should basically. I was planning on doing the review again for Destruction Allstars, is getting a review up, and I was like, oh, Season 1, perfect place to start. There'll be new content. Maybe they fixed a load of problems I had with it. Maybe I'll be able to give it a fair review. I was in a call with Kyle. I ended up spending 15 minutes on the game because there's one new character. I got their car and tested it in one game. I checked the battle pass and I dipped. And I was like, cool, there we go then. I'm not waiting another month for a new map or whatever. And it just baffles me that this game is so shit in terms of updates and just in terms of engagement. Like, it's fucking horrendous. And it was funny because I was looking at... I get bored, like I say. I get bored. I go looking in cupboards for no reason, not for anything, just bored. I go into cupboards looking for entertainment. I also just go on YouTube, and I was watching the PlayStation reveal, the PS5 reveal, and I was watching all the trailers. And I saw that the Destruction Allstars was there, and I remember watching it. I don't remember what our reactions are. I have to go back and check. It was probably we don't care. But I watched the trailer, and I was like, this trailer's actually really cool. It's a shame knowing, like, a year later that the game is just mediocre and no one cares about it, you know? Like, I was like, this trailer's kind of interesting. It's a shame that the game is so fucking forgetful.
So I know it debuted as a Plus game. What's the price tag for it now?
$30, I believe. Yeah, I believe. I'm going to go double check.
And that's
Quickly,
just the price of
the
entry.
PlayStation Store. Yeah, and that does. And I should specify that I don't know if it has gone to being paid yet. I should 100% check. Destruction Allstars. Literally, I'm typing it into the PlayStation Store, and even the PlayStation Store is pretending that it doesn't exist. No, okay, that was a lie. It's 20. It currently looks like it's £18, which I think is roughly like $24. It'll be something like $24, probably $20 to $24. The deluxe edition. The deluxe edition's $40. Yes. What does that include? It includes everything that the Plus people got, which is just you get Destruction Allstars, and they've included the first 4 story mode packs. The PlayStation Plus people only got 1 pack, so you get 3 extra story packs, and that's it. If you buy the deluxe edition, boys, you get 8 story. You don't even get all the story packs. You literally just get 8. You don't even get all of them. There's like 16 All-Stars, so they're still expecting you to pay for half of them with microtransactions.
That's so stupid.
And then you get a load of like fucking skins. So I don't know. Dumb. Maybe you get to dab on the haters or whatever. Who knows? But yeah, it's roughly $20 to $25 from the looks of it. I can't look at the conversion because that's not how PlayStation Store works. It just shows my region. It's such a rip-off. It genuinely is. This game should be free to play. Honestly, because the fact that everything's paid, skins paid, no real way to unlock them other than grinding, and my god, is the grind slow. I think in my 10 to 12 hours of playing that game, I maybe have saved up enough coins to buy 1 skin.
And the gameplay is apparently not satisfying enough to warrant wanting to do that grind either.
No. And it does the cardinal sin of what I hate, which is what Carl was expecting. We talked about last week. Of it uses the DualSense, but it uses it fucking badly. Where you can feel there's some cool stuff like when you press down on the pedal, like on the R2 and the L2, it feels like you're pressing pedals. And if you try and press the other one, it kind of locks up like it would on an actual car if you press the brake while the acceleration's going. It kind of it's cool up until the point where your car gets damaged, and then they're trying to give you like your car's falling to pieces kind of vibe, so the R2 button starts fighting back and like machine gun fire, and it's gross and it's disgusting, and you cannot turn it off without turning haptic off in general on the console. So it's bad. It's fucking awful. And it's just, oh man, this game has so much potential. The music slaps. It's got a great soundtrack. The characters are cool, but man, is there just no substance? It's like, it looks nice, but that's it. It's all looks, no substance, and it just fucking triggers me. So look forward to my pleasing review. If you ever have looked at our reviews and go, you just give everything a fucking recommend, I'm like, well, wait till you see this one, boys.
Not
wait
true.
till you...
Hades got a must play.
Oh, okay. I think Crash
No
nearly did as
here.
well, and yeah. But hey, I don't think Destruction will get a recommended, especially because it's just not worth it.
It'll be the first one to hit this bottom half of the scale.
It won't be an avoid. It'll be a head. I don't know why I'm telling you. Watch the fucking video when it comes out, please. But it'll probably be a hesitant. It'll be an interesting video anyway. But yeah, I just wanted to update people that Destruction All-Stars Season 1 is not worth going back to. That game just... I don't know what Sony was thinking. It should have just been free to play. Should have just been free to play, available at launch, and keep adding content. I think CTR's had more fucking post-launch updates with more frequent span than Destruction All-Stars has, which is a shame, because I feel like that game has potential. It's just not seeing it at all. Adding 1 character in 2 months, 3 months, because it was out in February. It's not great.
And then CTR was doing at least 1 little Grand Prix every month.
1 Grand Prix every month, at least 3 characters. The first update that came out for CTR was 2 weeks after launch, and it included 5 characters and a new track and a butt ton of new skins and cosmetics.
That was really only 2 weeks after launch.
It was really close. It might have been even less than that. It might have been like a week and a half. It was something like, if I remember correctly, it was something like game was out on like the end of June, like June 26th or something. And the first Grand Prix was like July 7th or something. Like they really went into it really quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go.
And the lovely perk that all of those updates were free.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
And I mean, to be fair, the updates are quote
unquote miracle coming from Activision too.
Yeah, which is a miracle. But I should specify for
now they put
Stars,
microtransactions in the game.
The characters are free. I did not have to unlock the character. I didn't have to do anything special to unlock the new character. I assume when the new mode comes out, you also get access to that. It's just skins and cosmetics and story packs, which you have to pay for. But it's a shame that the only thing that they added in that update, other than a character, was skins, story packs, cosmetics, all microtransaction shit. I know Sony's probably lost a shit ton of money on this game, and that's why they did it. But not a good look. Should have had that new mode. Either way.
Why would
it's
you
also,
put story
it's also
behind a paywall?
It's also not even that interesting of a mode. It's basically like, it's multi-team deathmatch. If you've ever played a first-person shooter, it's multi-team deathmatch where you have, which is essentially, imagine team deathmatch, but add a third team and they're all at it. It's like free-for-all, but with just multi-team. You get the idea. Wow, what a unique concept. It's not even a fucking interesting mode like Carnado, which is kind of cool. It's it genuinely is just ram into each other, but multi-teams, guys. Like, oh,
it sounds
boy.
like a Fall Guys mini game now.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Yeah, it does. It genuinely does. It does. It sounds like a Mario Party mini game, and it's just a full game that just doesn't make sense. Anyway, moving on. That's enough of me rambling. I'm going to shut up now because this is Kyle and Hunter time, because Kyle has played the first hour of Horizon Zero Dawn, and Hunter really likes Horizon, so I'll leave it to you, Hunter. You finally get to interrogate someone.
Boy, howdy, are you not going to like the things I'm about to say?
Oh, man. All right.
Well, I'm going to go get some popcorn, dude. Let's go.
Oh my god.
I'll leave it to you, Hunter. This is your
So, I played the first hour of Horizon Zero Dawn. And I got to the end of that hour. And I did the prologue. I did the first story mission. And I can say that I was thoroughly uninvested in everything I was doing.
Mm.
Do you want to know something fun?
What's up, Ethan?
I did. That's how I felt as well after the original. I'll let you explain more about but within the first hour, I remember playing the game. I was the exact same way. But anyway, carry on.
Cool. So far, my favorite part about the game is that Aloy's caretaker, daddy figure, whatever his name is, he's voiced by Dojima, and that's pretty cool, from Persona 4.
I need to replay Horizon now, don't I?
I never put that together. I played Persona 4 after Horizon.
Yeah.
I noticed that like straight away. I'm like, it's Dojima, you're back. Yeah.
And Aloy's Ashley Birch. Yeah, it's pretty.
That's been
what a star-studded cast.
And that's been my favorite part so far. The rest of the game, it sure is an open world video game. We all know how I feel about those.
Uh-huh.
But for the uninitiated, I think open world games are very, very slow and boring, and it takes forever to get to do anything. I don't really care for the stealth, and also I think that the game starts off on a really bad foot, putting me in the shoes of a protagonist that has no real motivation or drive for who she is.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Because even with like a game like Ghost of Tsushima, which I also didn't like, I can at least like get Jin's motivation for his quest. Like he needs to go save his dad, grandfather, person. I don't remember Ghost of Tsushima.
It was his uncle, okay?
His
Jin
uncle?
had to go rescue his uncle who had been captured by the Mongols. I remember this. Come on. I played this video game. I know Hunter played the video game.
I
know Kyle played a third of the video game, so I know we should all know that
I didn't play a third
part.
of it. I never left the first island.
Yeah, that's basically a third of it. The first island's the biggest part of the game. But no. It's interesting that you feel like that, because I was the exact same way before I get into Hunter's...
To say something about Aloy's
okay,
motivation at the beginning, though. She's kind of, at least towards the beginning, she's trying to win her place back into this tribe that outcast her for no reason.
Yeah,
Very
and
spitefully.
I don't know why she was outcast, so I don't know why she cares so much about wanting to get back into the tribe.
Yeah.
And I just don't really have any... The game didn't give me a reason to care about her goal.
It's because Horizon, it's because Horizon does this interesting thing, Kyle. And I hate to break it to you, not every game's a JRPG. And some games like to give characters their motivation into the video game and not within the first 10 minutes. And trust me, Aloy has plenty of motivation. She gets it within the first couple of hours.
I bet she does. But boy, do I not feel motivated to find
yeah.
it.
Let me talk about my first couple of hours with Horizon, because I was in the exact same way. I bought Horizon Zero Dawn on launch, I think. It was either on launch or very close to launch. And I played the first 2 hours of it, the first 3 hours of it. And I was like, and then I put it down and I just ignored it. And then I played this other tiny little indie game that came out pretty close to it called Breath of the Wild, right? And I was like, oh, this game's great. Why the fuck were people talking about shitty Horizon Zero Dawn? The rocks don't work. Let's play Breath of the Wild, where you can actually climb things and not play fucking hopscotch over the fucking shitty rocks in Horizon Zero Dawn.
The fucking climbing.
And don't tell me that the climbing's good in Horizon Zero Dawn, because it's not. It's the worst part of Horizon Zero Dawn. The climbing shit in Horizon Zero Dawn. It's garbage. She sees a pebble and she fucking cowers in fear. She's like, oh my god, it's a pebble. I am going to die. Which is why the scene in the Forbidden West trailer where she's climbing that mountain gets me excited. I'm like, I hope that's not a fucking cutscene and you fixed your rocks, Gorilla, because my god, rocks in the first game are fucking terrible. She sees an incline like that, about there. You could probably walk up the incline, but because it's made of rocks, Aloy's like, shit, run, and slides down it like a dumbass, like slip slide. Dude. Think she's at fucking Wet and Wild. It's not good. Anyway. First 2 hours, I was like, play Breath of the Wild. I was like, it's brilliant. And then after I played Breath of the Wild, I was like, I should go back, and I paid full price for Horizon Zero Dawn. I should go and play it. And there was something about going back and playing it that second time where it did eventually click. And I was like, oh, I get it now. I get why people like it. But it doesn't surprise me that the first couple of hours didn't sync it to you, because it didn't sync with me either. But no. I don't know. Back to you, Hunter. There you go. I'm done with the anecdote. I'm running away now. I've bitched about the rocks. I'm running.
This sounds like something you wanted to get off your chest for a while.
People,
to be
it's
fair,
why
especially
Horizon...
coming out of Breath of the Wild, not being able to climb everything.
No, this was before. This was before. In the first hour, I was like, the rocks are shit. I want to specify that. The rocks were always shit. Breath of the Wild did not.
Well, yeah, I know.
I just played Breath of the Wild. I was like, come on, this is how we do rocks.
Climbing anything else in a third-person game, it's the same as Uncharted or whatever.
No, but here's the
notch in the wall.
Yes, but here's the difference. Uncharted is a linear third-person action game where the game goes, you see that wall? That's the wall you're fucking climbing. Horizon's like, look, here's this camp on top of a hill. And I'm like, cool, let me just climb the hill. And the game's like, no, you can only climb the hill at this specific point. The rest of it, you'll play fucking slip slide ice capades down, or you can go up the path that's half a mile that way. And I'm like... What's the fucking point? This isn't open world. This is, would you like to climb specifically the rocks that someone pissed on so they're yellow? Or would you rather walk half a mile and go up the hill at a moderate incline?
Yeah.
That was my problem with this game. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. Great video game. But when people act like it's shit like this why Horizon isn't my favorite PlayStation exclusive. And I hope that Forbidden West fixes this shit, because man, is it the most like, it's as if they were making a third person game and then went, shit, we'll make an open world. And then they were like, oh, we forgot to take away the linear like climbing mechanics, and now everything's painted yellow and everything's like fucking non-climbable. But I digress. I'm getting it off my chest. There you go. I'm done. I'm done ranting about the fucking rocks in Horizon Zero Dawn. The rest of it's great. But no, I will agree that it has a very slow burn. There's not really much. The game's basically like, trust me, like hold my hand and eventually we'll get you to that point. And it does take a while, which is annoying. But
Yeah,
Once it
I
does
think
get to
we've
the
talked
point,
about
it did hook
this.
me.
I think we've talked about this on the show before, where I'm like, if you takes so long to get good, why can't it just start good?
I
You
mean,
know?
we've had this conversation. I've been a hypocrite on both sides, where I said just wait until that point, and I said I hate when people say wait until that point. So I don't know let me roll the dice real quick, and I'll find out what my opinion is this week. Okay, it's the opinion that I thought I had, which is, yeah, I understand. Like, I understand that some people are like, oh, if a game gets good in 6 hours, why should I have to wait 6 hours? I understand that, and I agree with it. Make the game good from the start. But at the same time, if a game does get good in 6 hours, and you're also a bit of a baby bitch, and like, I can't be asked to trog, then that's on you as well. You're like, okay, you're done. Like, if you get there, you get there. If you don't, you don't. Everyone's right, everyone's wrong. Fuck everybody, dude. That's it. Everyone loses. But I find it interesting that you say, why can't the game get good, when another game that comes to my mind when I think of introductions of video games that I fucking despise is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where Xenoblade 2 has the worst fucking intro to a video game I've ever played, where I wanted to put it down from the get-go, because it gives me a character I fucking want to punch in the throat. It gives me a story where the game's like, go on this ship with these guys, trust me, and one of them basically looks like he's stumbled out of Fallout Boy. The other one looks like he's stumbled out of Fallout Boy. And then there's this weird cat girl, dude. Turns out they were both Fallout Boy. But, it's one of those things, again, where I find it interesting, where you're like, hey, I don't like open world games. This game's giving me nothing. In Xenoblade 2, which I also love. I love both of these games. I'm chatting shit about both of them, but I love them both quite a lot. But Xenoblade 2 is basically the same thing. It's just got JRPG mechanics instead of Western action mechanics, if that makes sense.
The difference is that with Xenoblade 2, you're getting bits of the world introduced to you slowly throughout the whole first chapter, and you're also getting a look at how Rex is as a protagonist and how Nia is as a secondary character.
See,
and
I
you're
don't
getting a
think
look
you
at
do.
both of the villains.
You see, I don't think you do. I think it does a good job of establishing Malus and Jin, but I don't think it does a good job at representing Nia or Rex, really. Especially Rex. Like, Rex, it's just like, oh, look at me. I'm like, he's just literally like, I'm gonna go get some money for my family, and that's literally all we know about Rex. Is like, oh, that's it. It's like, okay, cool. It's as much Rex saying, I need money for my family, is as much of a bait as Horizon Zero Dawn going, Aloy saying, I want to win at the proving so that I'm accepted back into society. It's kind of the same kind of gist. It's the same kind of hook, just in a different way. I guess my question I'm trying to ask you is it maybe just the fact that also the gameplay hasn't sunk its teeth into you? Is that also what's putting you off, and not necessarily just a story hook?
It could definitely be the gameplay. I'm definitely not a fan of the predominant focus on stealth over just raw Unga Bunga, because the spear sucks, and if you try an Unga Bunga, you're gonna get killed.
Do you not start with the bow?
You start with a bow, but
why aren't you shooting things?
I want to use the spear, Hunter. But Aloy swings the fucking spear like a baseball bat.
Okay.
I tried using the spear. Aloy was terrible with the spear, so I'm like, fuck you, game. I guess I'm using the bow, even though I don't want to. I guess game's deciding how I play game, and not me deciding how I play game.
Yeah, but she does have a bow on the cover. It's like going to fucking Call of Duty and going, this game's making me use a gun? What the fuck? I wanted to use my fist. What the fuck? Unka Bunka.
The spear, I don't
if
think
the game
was ever
gives me both options.
I don't think the spear was ever put in the game as a thing that they were expecting you to use primarily. It's just kind of this.
Why would they give it to me?
It's a thing that you can use when something gets too close for you to get a shot on. It's like an emergency fallback, get away from me stick.
The get away from me stick is fucking terrible. Because Aloy has bad frame data.
Oh my fucking god. It's a single player RPG.
Dude, and in my RPG, I wanted to hit things with a spear.
Oh, for fuck's sake. It's so... Just entered absolute fucking chaos, dude. It's just I do find it interesting. Then it's like, oh, you're like, I want to use the spear. Fucking use the spear.
I've never had somebody who wanted to. I've never come across someone who's played this game and wanted to use the spear.
Yeah,
well,
like,
I don't want
oh,
to use the spear now. It's fucking garbage.
It's like fucking buys Horizon Zero Dawn, the game that is basically shoot robot dinosaurs with bow and arrow. And he's like, what's this bow and arrow shit? I want the stick. Fucking
If it makes you feel better later, Kyle, you get to use the spear to mind control robots.
Wait, what? That sounds fucking dope.
Yeah.
Why can't I do that from the start?
Because you don't have the necessary thing. It's an upgrade.
I think what I've learned from this podcast is that me and open world games don't mesh.
But you like Xenoblade.
Yeah.
Xenoblade's open world.
So with Xenoblade, what that game gives me is a bunch of fucking dopamine in my brain.
You were gonna say dopamine in your brain. I thought you were just gonna say I was just gonna. But Xenoblade makes me horny, so I carry on playing. Is what I thought you were gonna say.
No,
you were just
no,
like,
no.
I am a JRPG fan, dude.
When I'm playing Xenoblade 2, and I'm doing big damage to big enemies and seeing big numbers pop out of them, that shit gets my brain going. I'm like, yes, this is good positive response. Dopamine. Yes, I'm getting good positive feedback from the game.
If they put numbers over the spear hitting the thing, would that make you feel better?
If they made hitting things with the spear satisfying, it would make me feel better.
If they put numbers over hitting things with the arrows, would it make you feel better?
I don't know, dude.
Honestly,
I love the way the bow and arrow shoots in that game. It's one of my favorite. The bow and arrow has become one of the most saturated weapons in these kind of games in the past several years, and I think Horizon does it undisputably the best.
Look, dude, I'm just sharing my first experiences, and in my
I'm
first experience,
I'm just fucking laughing.
I wanted to play with all the options the game gave me.
No, you didn't. You just went stick go.
No. I saw, after the prologue, the game gave me a spear, so I said, cool, let's test this shit out. No. This is how I play games, and the game gave me a new toy, and I said, cool, let's use it, and then I used it, and it was awful.
You're just telling me that Dojima gave you a blue snowball, and you just went, unga bunga. Unga bunga. Where are the numbers? Like, honestly, I've always questioned like, when there's numbers on a single player game, when, like, you do damage, when numbers flash up, that's one of my fucking triggers. I hate when it does that, because I'm like,
dude,
what
I love
the
seeing
fuck?
Big numbers.
Yeah, and then here's the fucking monkey brain here, dude, fucking Gibbon boy, it's like, ooh, big number mean good, like, fucking keeps him going, dude. Keeps him on the stick. You'd think he loves multiplayer games. Did you think he'd be like, oh, I'm like, all, like, but other than fighting games, you don't really play any. I'm like, what is this man? He's like, I love the arcadey numbers kind of side, like it's a competitive, like, big brain move thing, but at the same time, I love story JRPGs. I'm just like,
to be fair, story JRPGs contain a lot of numbers when you hit things. It just carries over.
Just makes me laugh, because you think this guy's like, oh yeah, dude, fucking CSGO Pro or something, like fucking action game kind of like heavy numbers calculated thing, but he's just sitting there going with Aloy with a stick going, where the numbers game? I do love it though. Hey, unique experience. Never thought that'd be a complaint about Horizon, but there you go. But no, like, I see some of of these things I think you're batshit crazy on, dude. Some things I'm like, you're fucking not, you're a psychopath. But some of them, like, how the slow pace is.
I want my fucking tools to be good.
It will be eventually, but you gotta work for it. You're not booting.
It won't be if I never fucking get there.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? It's like Xenoblade 2 at the start. When you're playing at the start, it's shit. But when you get good weapons, good damage, big numbers, big monkey brain, fucking big hits with the blue snowball microphone, That's when it's good. And then when you play New Game Plus and you carry all that over, you're like, yes, big number, whack, whack. And then it's like, yeah, cool. But you've got to remember, at some point, you were doing small numbers. I was going to make a noise with the small numbers, but I couldn't think of an adequate noise. Yeah, like something like that. Small numbers. This podcast has gone off the rails.
This is amazing.
It's fucking died, dude. It's fucking died. I
If
never
some of this
expected
number
monkey
sphere
behavior
thing
from
isn't
Kyle.
part of
dude.
the like intro stinger, I don't know what will be.
It's gonna have to at this rate, isn't it? But it just honestly, honestly, it just made me laugh. Anyway, I digress. But with an RPG, Kyle, you kind of have to work on it, right? You're not expecting day one of Xenoblade Chronicles to be like big number, big dick energy, whack whack. Same with Horizon. You got to get there. And hey, when you play New Game Plus, and then you can just fucking 360 no-scope people off the top of mountains, and then go, shit, I've got to climb that thing again and find the specific yellow rock. I'm still pissed about that. Then you can have your fun. But you kind of got to get there. But no, I can see why the story beats don't hook in, because they didn't for me originally. And still, when people always talk about, I love the story of Horizon, I still sit there and personally go, I still prefer the story to God of War, and I still prefer the story to even the Naughty Dog stuff. Like, I like Horizon, but I've never really attached to Horizon, like, say, Hunter attached to Horizon, or anyone else who puts it as their, like, number one PlayStation exclusive. To me, it's, like, my fourth or my fifth, probably. Like, I still like it, but I digress. I don't know. Maybe you probably won't, but maybe give it a little more time. See if when the plot you'll know when the
see
plot
where the wind takes me.
You'll see where the you'll see where the motivation starts. You'll see what happens after the whole proving like tutorial kind of area. You'll sense what the actual narrative is starting to shape. Like
I just thought this whole opening was kind of boring. Where
I agree. I 100%
Dojima, where Aloy's just like, "What? I don't know anything about me. Where did I come from?
Oh.
Dojima, tell me things." And then Dojima's like, "Fuck if I know. They just gave me a baby one day.
Yeah.
Simba.
We're outsiders now."
And the game will tell you eventually. The game does wrap all of its loop. It wraps all of its plot threads up. It does do all that. It won't leave you hanging where you're like, you don't sit there at the end of the game being like, yes. Now what the fuck was that? Like, why the fuck was I just giving out randomly? Like, you're not gonna sit there at the end. But I do agree, it has a very slow start. But I feel like once you're out of the tutorial area, that's for me when the game finally clicked, and I was like, oh yes, now I can go and do some stuff. And because originally, like, I was just planning on mainlining it, but it got to a point where I was like, okay, now I'm going to do these random trials, and I'm going to do these random things. I was starting to really enjoy the game. But I do agree with you, and I'm glad, to be fair, that I finally have found someone else that's had a similar experience where they thought that the first couple of hours of Horizon Zero Dawn are as boring as fucking shit. Because I think I agree with that as well.
Sam had the same experience.
Yeah, and Sam had the same.
He played the first story mission twice and then stopped there both times.
He has played more
case.
since then. He has played more since then. He did get past the tutorial and he carried on playing. Sam's problem on his second playthrough was he put 30 hours into the game, and Sam's the kind of person who, if say Kyle's the kind of open world person that will genuinely just mainline the golden path because he doesn't like the distraction, doesn't like any of that shit. Sam's the kind of person that goes, what's under this rock? Nothing. What's under this rock? Nothing. What's under this rock? And the fucking main mission's like 5 miles that way, and he's going in the opposite direction, going, anything under this rock? And then eventually he'll get bored of looking under rocks, and instead of going, time to go do main story, he just puts the game down until he feels like looking under more rocks, and then he never comes back. That's the kind of Sam approach.
That's honestly hilarious, because I like admiring details and stuff, but I don't think I've ever gotten that crazy where I've been like, okay, now I'm bored. Let's not continue with the fun stuff.
Oh, Sam's 100%. I remember him doing that where he was like, I was just exploring this corner of the map, and I'm like, Sam, you're up in the rocks where I don't think you're supposed to be. I don't know if you're supposed to be up there. And he's like, I'm just chilling if there's anything cool around here. I'm like, okay, you do you. And he's like, when did you do the last story mission? He's like, I don't know, like 10 hours ago. I'm like, okay, you have fun, bud. You just keep exploring rocks. And then His Aloy just gets lost in the wilderness forever and never finishes the quest. It does make me laugh, but hey, who knows? Interesting. If any of you guys also agreed with us, thought that the first couple of hours of Horizon Zero Dawn didn't really click with you, why don't you let us know? It'd be interesting to find the few remaining people out there in the world that didn't love the game from day one. Like Hunter over here. Look at him. Look at him, smug little dick. Look at him. Look at him smiling, dude. He's like,
I did like.
I'm such a
It
great
was just
person.
one of those. It was just one of those things where the like premise of the thing kind of probably carried me through.
Yeah.
The first couple of hours that probably were slow, but I didn't care because it's not like I had anything else to be playing after I started it. I didn't have my own
I don't
money
value
at the
my
time.
time. I don't value anything. Let's just go without it. Yeah, exactly.
But,
I feel it.
And then like 2 hours or whatever in, it did click. So I was like, ooh, yay.
Yeah. But no. You'll have to keep us updated if you actually do go back and give it another try. Maybe we'll have the same argument next week. Who knows? Let's see what happens. But hey, at least give it a try again, Kyle. I'm not asking you to fucking sit through 10 hours of it. I'm just saying, maybe just give it another try, see if it clicks, see if it doesn't. And if it doesn't, we can say, hey, fair enough. And if you don't, then we'll just bully you about it like we did with Ghost of Tsushima again.
I think my brain just isn't made for open world games. I think I don't know, dude.
I say that, and then you like Xenoblade, and I'm like, Xenoblade's open world is shit. It's just Xenoblade splits its open world into like 5 chunks. It's still open world to me. Like, there's Xenoblade to me is still an open world JRPG.
I don't know what it is, dude.
So it's just
I can't explain it
to me that
I don't
you
know.
like Xenoblade.
I don't know why Xenoblade hits so far home for me, and stuff like this and Ghost of Tsushima just miss.
Yeah, it is weird, especially because Xenoblade has some of those quests where it's like, oh, sorry, you can't progress the story until you go find 5 different pieces of bark from this fucking place and have this girl that's got fire making level 62. Have fun with that or whatever. And it's like, why can't I do the mission? Whereas I'm like, to me, that's kind of open world bullshit that turns me off at open worlds. And like, I'm like, I find it funny that you'll sit through that. But with Ghost of Tsushima, you're just like, I'm done. Fuck this, dude. Fuck the birds. Fuck the fucking foxes. I'm done. Get it out.
The birds.
Yeah, don't you remember? Don't you remember the little birds that
No.
would come into your view and then they'd fly off, and if you followed them, they take you to something cool? Am I the only person that remembers playing Ghost of Tsushima?
No, I remember what you're talking about.
I was going to say,
I
am
didn't
I
see
going
any
crazy?
birds in my playthrough.
I know we have the unpopular opinion of not liking Ghost of Tsushima as much as everybody else, but I'm still sitting here like, come on, I swear we played it.
Still
Right?
happened.
We played it, right?
Yeah.
But no. There you go. Horizon Zero Dawn talk over. I don't know. I don't know if I have. I have literally nothing else to talk about. Do you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about? We are over an hour in at this point.
I actually cleared some areas in Returnal now.
Oh, do you want to give a Returnal update?
Yeah, because last week I was just in the midst of fighting the first boss by the time I started talking about it, so I have an actual sense of how the game progresses. So the interesting thing is that after you beat the boss of the area, you then just kind of get a shortcut to the next area. You don't have to keep fighting the boss to move on, which is nice, honestly. Because
you still have to find the shortcut each time, though, right?
Yeah, you still have to find the shortcut, but you can just go through. So
it doesn't like how your shortcut isn't just in your spawn, and you can just instantly go like whoop, 1, 2.
No,
like,
you find
instantly.
Yeah, because like after you beat the boss the first time, you'll go to whatever weird gate it is that takes you off to, Area 7.
Narnia,
and all that. So that's nice because then you can. What I've gotten the sense of now, every time I find something, move on to the next area in this game, is that I find the goal I'm working towards, and then it just becomes the matter of building myself up to feel like I can take on that goal. And the obstacle usually is just surviving long enough to actually be able to manage to go and do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I cleared up through Area 3. I'm in like the 4th one now, and interestingly enough, the 4th area kind of functions like a new first area.
Okay.
Where now every time I die, I just go back there.
Weird.
So I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to just go on to, like, yeah, storyline wise, it just, the game took a turn, and then I was like, ooh, wasn't ready for that.
Interesting. But no, Returnal looks like an interesting game. Returnal is one of those games that I look at and I shake my head and go, yes, good game, people like. And then I'm also in the 100% in the mindset of going, I'm never playing this fucking video game because I'm too stupid, and also I don't have the patience for it. I mean, we mentioned it last week where the only reason I got through Bloodborne was because the whole idea is once you've explored the area and you know where the boss gate is, it's just a fucking sprint. Like, you just become like Usain Bolt. You're just fucking dashing down the fucking path until you get to the boss gate, have another go at unga bungering, as Kyle would get the blue snowball out, whack it around the head, see if it dies.
My God,
fail.
I hate this analogy.
That's the analogy now. You made your bed, now lie in it, Kyle. But, you know, whereas in Returnal, it's like, you know, you get to the unga bungering part, you fuck it up, and you get all the way back, and you've lost everything, and I'm like, now I've got to build myself, I can't just run through, I have to build myself up again, and that's the bit that I'm like, oh God, I got to build myself up again.
There have been a few times where I've entertained the notion of just beelining it to the boss I was in the middle of doing, but also every time I was like, I kept getting too greedy, because I'd be killing enough things in between, by the time I found the area to move on, I also had enough obolites or whatever, where it was like, oh, if you just kill 2 more rooms of things, you'll have enough for that HP upgrade. And I was like, oh, yeah, fine. Go and die. Or whatever in between that.
No.
So, trying to sprint to the boss is always something about the way I've been playing just hasn't meshed with that idea, even though I've been telling myself I would be doing it a few times.
Yeah, I feel like the urge would just be too strong with me, where it's like, it's hard for me. It's already hard for me to cling to a game. I mean, Kyle will know, like, I dropped Xenoblade 2, like, midway through, because I was like, too much effort, put it down, game's asking too much out of me. When I came back, I finished it, obviously, but it's like, sometimes when a game asks too much of me, my response is, instead of going, challenge accepted, is, what else can I do? What's that Stardew Valley's calling again? Sounds good to me, dude. Like, fucking... It's one of those things where sometimes I'm like, I don't know if, like, Returnal, I'm like, people seem to be liking Returnal, but I don't know if I'd like it, because I feel like I get too pissed off. Because even if it's like, say you were talking, Hunter, we were talking earlier this week, and you said something like, oh, one of the bosses took me like 2 or 3 attempts, right? And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Actually, like, once I finally get to the bosses, they are only like it's been like 3 or 4 at max. Yeah.
Which, you know, is like fair. 3 or 4 times to beat a boss. I'm like, that's fair. But I don't see it as 3 or 4 attempts at the boss. I see it as, you're telling me that I'm going to have to replay through that shit 4 times and build myself up to beat it? I'm like,
and probably several more because you keep dying on the way, yeah.
Oh, and that would be the bit where I would, like, close the application and be like, well, Sally
The third
Returnal.
area in particular is the one where I started getting, like right before you were in the last, like, stretch of it. Things would come. I don't like the third area of this game very much. All of the enemies are like kamikaze tool bags, and I don't like them.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it was like, I was like watching someone play, and they like had this god run where they got everything, and they got everything that they wanted, and they were just doing massive damage, and I was like, that's fun, but when you lose that, you are going to be so heartbroken, especially if it isn't to a boss. Like, say you get cocky and you fuck it up and lose it to a minion.
That's what's happened to me every time I've actually had something that felt like it was going to be the time. I was like, oh, somehow I've been schmurdered.
Yeah, and it would kill me, man. It would honestly kill me. I'd just be like, oh, no. Because you can guarantee
for whatever reason, also, every time that happens, it's always just keep pushing forward on the analog stick. We're doing it again.
You have much. I don't know what to say. You're a braver man than me, Hunter. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? What are your thoughts on like roguelikes, Kyle? Because it's
I
interesting.
never played one.
Yeah, like, but do they interest you? Because to
Not
me,
really.
after having that open world conversation, they're like it's kind of like your worst nightmare. I feel like it's basically you have to explore everywhere. You know, it's like it feels like a mix of like an openish area that randomizes every time, so you can't get used to it, and like it sounds like it'd be something that I don't know. Would that be something that you would consider playing? Because
I mean, at this point, the only one I'd probably play is Hades, just because of how much good I've heard about it. But also,
I didn't like
that's pretty low
roguelikes
on
until
my
I
list of things I want to
played that
play.
one.
Mhm.
Like before Hades, all they were experimenting and dying, and I never felt like I was actually moving forward. Hades switched the progression cycle a little bit to where it felt like you were always taking something forward with you.
Yeah, that's
somehow.
my
So that's what feels nice.
It's like back when Binding of Isaac was really popular,
that's what I was
and
gonna bring up.
that just passed me by.
See, I played it and I never got into it. I was like, I get it, but
and I never really liked it either.
I was just like, why do you want to try again? I'm just pissed off that I died on a good run and now I've got to start again. I'm like, no, like I'm gonna.
Yeah, like other things like Rogue Legacy and stuff. I also just wasn't.
No, I didn't even attempt to play Rogue Legacy. I was like,
I've never even heard of that one.
I tried it because it was a plus game one time when I was in high school and poor. So
those were the days.
I needed something to entertain me. Yeah.
Back when you'd play anything, because it was just like I have nothing. I have nothing of value in terms of money, and I have nothing to play. So it's like, oh, what's that? PS Plus has got the worst thing ever. Guess I'm playing it. Like, let's see what's happening.
I mean, even then, there was still a threshold. Like, if I didn't care about it, I still wouldn't. But if it was like mildly interesting in some respect, then yeah.
Oh, Hunter, you've never lived, dude. I've had some friends that have played the worst shit on Plus just because they had to, because they had nothing else to play.
No.
If I ever bring Ed onto the show, which I want to at some point, I have to ask him about the time that he platinumed a game called Spy Chameleon. I'd never heard of it, never played. I don't think anyone even downloaded it on Plus. But Ed had so little to do with his life that he platinumed it, and I was like, wow.
Was it a hard plat?
I don't know. Who knows? It's called Spy Chameleon, so it's either bullshit hard or pretty easy, but no one's played it. So, Spy Chameleon sounds like one of those games that PlayStation, like Greg Miller, would be like a 5-minute platinum that he downloads for like $2. It sounds like one of those kinds of games,
Yeah, like My Name is Mayo or Taco Master. Yeah. Spy Chameleon.
Exactly. It sounds like one of those games.
Lucky's Tales.
Oh yeah, Lucky's Tale was an actual game. I think that was like the Microsoft game, wasn't it? Yeah. Who knows? I wouldn't know. Are you looking it up? Are you looking up?
You have to beat the game on hard.
Oh well, that's more than I'm willing to do.
Maybe it's an easy game though.
Who knows? Probably potentially.
Again, I've never heard of this thing.
I mean, Devil May Cry has trophies where it asks you to beat it on hard, and that's like nothing to me.
It's got a 5 out of 10 difficulty.
Okay.
From PSN profiles.
Okay, right, hear me out. 5 out of 10. It's doable, but that means that there is some kind of effort, right? The way that difficulty works on PlayStation, like, kind of trophy things is, like, if it's a 2 or a 3, it means it's basically guaranteed. It just takes, like, 20 hours. A 1 is, like, it's piercing. It takes you, like, an hour and you're done.
Congratulations for beating this.
Yeah, 2 or 3 is, like, most games are 2 or 3, especially if they're open worlds, because it's just, get some collectibles and finish the game. It's like that kind of gist. 4 or 5 is starting to ask something of you, and anything above a 6 requires some effort. So, like, fair play. If Spy Chameleon is like sitting there, I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. But no.
Yeah, 5 out of 10 difficulty, 10 hours is what it says.
10 hours isn't that bad. So maybe it's just
maybe
it's just a painful 10 hours. Maybe like I say, if I ever bring
hard mode is really hard.
If I ever bring Ed on, we'll ask him all about Spy Chameleon. It'll be the most listened to episode of the podcast because apparently Spy Chameleon will be the biggest game on the planet that we never played. But no, there you go. You'll have to keep us updated with Returnal Hunter. You'll probably finish it by the next podcast. So
hopefully, probably take a break to finish off Resident Evil. And then,
who knows?
Yeah.
That'll be a nightmare if you finish both in like a week. That'll be like, oh god, that'll be scripts galore. That'd be overwhelming. That'd be me like with That would have been me when Miles and Astro were out, and I was like, I have to write both of these, and ended up writing like half of each and just left them because I was like, oh, the pressure.
I'll be fine.
Trust me, I have 100% faith in you. I look at that HGO reviews playlist, it might as well just be called Hunter's Reviews of Video Games, because like Ethan showed up once, and Kyle showed up in Limbo doing a Clubhouse Games review that who knows if it exists one day.
Well, it doesn't.
It kind of exists.
I don't even have the footage. I don't even have the footage on my computer anymore because I'm on a desktop now.
Guess we're gonna have to record the footage again. Truly tragic.
Who's we? You didn't help me the first time.
I'll play Ludo.
I played against computers.
Oh, fucking
for 4 hours.
You were committed.
Jeez.
You were committed to this. The fact that you did all that, and you were like, no, I'm not gonna finish it. That's. I'm questioning something there. Yeah, you sat there with computers playing every game and went, yes.
Also, the footage is on my laptop. It's over there. I can just pull it off. I just don't. Don't.
I mean, don't. That's my opinion of everything nowadays. It's just I just don't. Like, that's it. Let's like write it off. But no, this has been a very interesting episode of the podcast. We've gone from Resident Evil, a serious look at Resident Evil, to Unga Bunga and Spy Chameleon. You'll love to see it. But no, I guess we'll wrap it up there. That has been our show, everybody. Thank you so much for listening this week. Remember, if you want to find us on podcast, on Twitter, or if you want to find us, that's a better way of saying it. You can find us at the links that are on the screen now. Remember, go shout at Cal for his Horizon opinions. Go shout at Hunter for his Resident Evil opinions.
Don't. I'm very fragile.
And if you're the one
go
person
ahead and shout at me all you want.
And if you're the one person that likes Destruction Allstars, you can fight me on Twitter there. You won't come running because you don't exist. Remember, if you want to keep up to date with everything, you can follow us on Twitter at Hot Gamers Only. You can subscribe to us on the YouTube channels. And hey, if you want to find us on your favorite podcast services, you can check the link tree where you can find podcasts such as Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Music. But there, that's been our show, everybody. Thank you so much for listening this week. We'll be back next week with who knows. We're out of games again. We're back into the dry spell. Maybe we'll bring someone on. Maybe we'll do a topic. We'll have to think about that. But we'll come up with something.
Have to beat these 2 games I'm working on real fast and then start near Replicant.
Oh god, I swear, like literally. I don't think you guys understand, but yeah, give some love to Hunter, because genuinely Hunter's been carrying this podcast right now, because me and Cal have not had games come out that we can really cover or care about. So we're resting on Hunter's shoulders for a little while until I can at least play Ratchet and Cal can at least play what's that fucking game called? Scarlet Nexus. Got it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of games actually coming out on PS5 now, and I don't have one of those things.
Scarlet's on PS4, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but hey.
Yesterday I meant to do a bit of an experiment for science where I put, because I'm pretty sure that the only reason that the only thing that makes Resident Evil here a PS5 game is the box. Like, yeah, I'm fairly certain if I just put I want to know if I just put the disc into the PS4 if it'll start functioning.
No, it won't.
No?
No, it won't. It isn't, because it uses Ultra HD Blu-rays or whatever. It is slightly different. It's because if you plug in, like, Watch Dogs Legion was an example where I have the PS4 version. If you just plug it in, you have to download a digital version of the PS5 version. You just get that for free. It doesn't run off the disc. But it's weird like that. But hey, there you go.
Weird.
The more you know, a bit of education at the end of the episode. But yeah, thank you for listening. It's not a HGO episode if we don't make the outro longer than the fucking podcast. But yeah, that's our show.
I'd be impressed if we do that.
Let's do it. What do you want to talk about? No.
Well, you guys like numbers?
No, are we doing the 2-to-2 conversation? Are we doing the 2-to-2 conversation?
No, we're not doing that.
No, Jack's not here, so I couldn't hold it. But no, that's it. We're done. That's our show. Thank you so much. No, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. Same plan, same place. I'm ending this podcast. Until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you then. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.